Up. That's awesome. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Is that going? That's going. Son of a bitch. Yeah. I swear. But we got demonetized for that just now. Okay. My name is Tony Plocido. If you don't know me, I'm the host and curator of Poets and Pints. And this is our 98th show. So that means Big Show 100 is in September, and we have a huge lineup for it. Very excited. We are going to be a 3-hour show. We're going to have a beer named after us. Just be here. That's all I got to say for that. But there's a whole other show before that. There's one in August on the 18th, I believe. It might be the 17th. It's a Wednesday. And that's being put on by the Basso Poetry Group. So if you know them, they work out of Club 331 in Minneapolis. They're for not the faint of heart. And I say that because their show starts at 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. And so it's tough to go unless you live nearby. But that's why I'm very excited to have them here, because I get to see their show, because I work in the morning. So the way I like to start the show is to read a poem by an author you might not know. So I found this book just browsing through a bookstore in Kansas City. It had nice neon writing, and I just pulled it out and I started reading it, and I was blown away by this guy. So I have also since found out that this poem that I love a lot in here is actually based on another poem. And I wish Peter was here because he knew the name of it off the top of his head, and I don't. But this is called Why I Am a Poet by Donald Caswell. So Donald, if you're out there watching this, I'd really like to meet you. Anyway, why I am a poet. I'm a poet. I'm not a carpenter. Sometimes I think I'd rather be a carpenter, but I'm not. For instance, Gene, my carpenter friend, is building a house. I drop in, he gives me a hammer and says, "Start pounding." I pound, we pound, I look up, "Where's the roof?" "I'm not that far yet," he says. And I go, and the days go by, and I drop in again, and the roof is up. And I go, and the days go by, and I start a poem. And I'm thinking of stars. And I write a poem about stars. I grab a typewriter, and I start pounding. Soon there are pages, acres of words about stars, and the coffee is gone. So I go to a restaurant and I buy a beer. And the woman next to me tells me how she was raped by her stepfather when she was 12. So she ran away with an ex-con who got popped again for cocaine and left her pregnant. So she married a GI and moved to Germany, where the baby died of kidney failure. So she came home to live with her mother. And I drank a lot of beers. And then I go outside. And I lie in a vacant lot and look up at the stars, thinking how many they are and what a wonderful poem they would make. And I fall asleep with a beer in my hand. In the morning, the beer, the stars, and my wallet are gone. So I go to see Gene, and the house is finished. A family is living there, and they show me their dog. There are flowers blooming, cabbages cooking in the kitchen. So I go home and I write another poem. And one day Gene drops in and he looks at the poem, and now it's 12 poems, all neatly stacked and ready to be read. And he asks, "Where are the stars?" And I say, "I'm not that far yet." Hear that, Donald? They like you. Okay, because this is a high-class organization, I have to get the bios on my phone because my printer broke. Okay, so I'm going to pivot here. We're going to go right into our first poet. Let me see your book. I want to show it. Yes. So we have two poets here tonight that are in from out of town, which means if you were ever going to buy shit, buy it tonight, because they need to go home. So our first poet is Kelsey Bigelow, who has a book and a CD of spoken word available tonight. So please make sure you buy these. But first, here's the goods on Kelsey. Kelsey Bigelow is a spoken word and page poet based in Des Moines, Iowa. In her work, she molds incredibly specific emotions into something human, digestible, cathartic. She released her chapbook, Sprig of Lilac, in 2018 and released her spoken word album, Depression Holders and Secret Keepers, in 2021. Her work is published in Pile Press, Lyrical Iowa, Back Channels Journal, Spirit Lake Review, and elsewhere. She's the founder and leader of the Des Moines Poetry Workshop, a co-chair for the Iowa Poetry Association Poetry Slam, the co-tournament director for the 2023 NFSPS Blackberry Peach National Poetry Slam, and more. Get to know Kelsey at kelkbpoetry.com and follow her on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube at kelkbpoetry. Please, everybody, put your hands together for Kelsey Bigelow.
I don't make my username easy, I'm sorry.
No, I struggle with it.
I struggle saying it. So yes, just so you guys can find me, that's KelKB Poetry, KELKAYB. It's a play on my name. My full name is Kelsey K. Bigelow, so enjoy. Yes, I'm Kelsey. I am from Des Moines. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first time performing in Minneapolis, so thank you for having me. I am so excited to share some stuff with you. I have this thing I've been doing, kind of a balancing act of the heavy and the hopeful. I went through a lot of stuff in life, and therefore poetry was my coping tool, and so there's a lot of heavy shit in these poems. But something I've been doing lately as I've gotten to a better place in my life is actually writing the good stuff too. So I have a little of both for you. We are going to dive in with a poem that is on my album that you can buy over there. I take Cash Card and Venmo. We can talk later. All right. This first piece is a bit of a word vomit poem, so bear with me. Digression. Writing is the last thing I want to do. I don't really know why this is, because writing is the only thing I need to do. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that shedding a layer of my heart and molding it into words on a page for all to read means molding it into words on a page for all to read. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that I have been actively shaping my self-esteem into a genuine mirror of a mastered smile, and everyone knows that a happy poem is almost always an oxymoron. Maybe it's because speaking the dissonance of my soul breaks the innocence I've learned to portray and ruins the ignorant ears of those who think they know me. Like the ones who ask why a coffee snob like me hasn't had any coffee yet today and it's already 11 a.m. I say nothing and turn to my notebook and explain to the page that I haven't had coffee because I haven't had a full meal in a while, because I haven't had enough money for such a luxury, and so I drink water to ignore the rumbles and to say thank you to the years that I struggled with anorexia, because they taught me how to fake my health. They taught me how to get through a day without fainting in order to get the body I thought I was supposed to want. A body that men would want to touch, not take, but they didn't take, they stole. They stole a body I grew to loathe, but then again, I'm told to be grateful for the body that I'm in, because the body that I'm in has so much built-in privilege, it has become translucent. But the thing about being translucent is no one sees me, which means loneliness goes to bed with me and shapeshifts into the depression that is my body. I digress. This is why I avoid writing. Because only after reading my own words do I begin to sort trauma from struggle. And only after reading my own words do I realize I've got too much to write about. Thank you. That one was really fun to write. A lot of my poems come from a free writing session, and then I pull a poem out of them. And it often comes out as word vomit on the page, and apparently I let that one just stay word vomit, and it's been pretty cathartic for me to share. This next piece is also on my album. It is my current reigning favorite. I say that as if it hasn't been the favorite since I released the album, but I'm not going to introduce it. I'm just going to let it live. This is learned instinct. I have contorted myself enough to know how my neck and kneecap should curl to take up as little space as a disappearing act allows. It's somewhere between question mark and whiskey pour spout. And by space, I mean existence. See, taking up space used to equate with being in the way. I know how to avoid mess and remove attention. And by mess, I mean existence. See, it's no crumbs on plate to hide residue from judging eyes because those eyes only saw a flaw. I have learned to quiet, like mine, with helium in my heels and mute in my voice box to remain unheard because the heard always brought chaos, and by heard, I mean the existing. So I let closed doors and headphones become my bunker from the bellows and drywall holes, and by bellows, I mean their existence, while blankets of unwashed shaking became depression holders and secret keepers that hid my car-keyed forearms and question mark body, and by unwashed shaking, I mean the pitifulness I thought my existence was worth until I almost let it all go. Until I almost let it all go. Okay, I've got just a couple more pieces here. We're going to move to the hopeful side of things. I mean, if you really want to be sad, I can hook you up. Sprig of Lilac, my chapbook that he mentioned, this one I have not read from yet tonight, but it is dedicated to the grieving process. I lost my mom while I was in college, and this is kind of the culmination of at least the first couple of years of grieving. And then those first two pieces you heard were on my album, which are also back there. So, okay, we'll get to the happy stuff now.
No pressure.
No pressure. I often depress a lot of my audiences, and so I want to start making people happy too. This next piece, as you can tell, I went through a lot of hard stuff, and I had this, let's say, friend that got me through a lot of it. And it took me a while, but I was finally able to write a poem to my minivan. This is Ode to Sylvester. Let your minivan hug you through the heavy. He will store your history and carry you to a new town until you find a park far enough away. He will let you breathe and scream and sing and hit his steering wheels. He'll let you do this over and over while you find home in his doors and take your shoes off to rest your feet on his floors. He sees you tiptoeing through traumas and tries to take some of it away. Roll his windows down. He will show you the power of a wind revival. How spring breathes for you and beckons you to its grass. Open his door and run barefoot through your new chance. He will be there waiting for you when it's time for your next rap, for the change you both know you're ready for. Let his speakers sing you down the highway to the next state over. He will have many breakdowns, but he will hold you through yours. He has a way of getting you to everywhere you didn't expect, of cleaning your windshield in time to see your new view. And someday, after he's lived his last life, you will find yourself surrounded by city glow and falling snow. He got you to the place where you now carry your notebook to coffee shops and martini bars, the place where you laid him to rest in a ramp while you explored a life he wanted for you. You will marvel at the way a van taught you that a city and a decision can change courses, that views and stories can heal heaviness. You will realize he was the vehicle for your past self to fight for the better version you're walking in now. All right, I've got one more for you with my time. And also the last poem and this next one are newer pieces, so you are among the first to hear them. Thank you, appreciate that. This last piece that I have for you is one that I wrote this winter. I was out walking around and had a moment of realization there was nothing fundamentally wrong in my life anymore, and what do you do with that information? You write a poem about it. This is when the map is no longer highlighted in survival. What do I do after surviving a crosswalk I spent 29 years building as I crossed? After the snow has settled, the traffic has calmed, and the sun has waved me across the street, what do I do with these painted hands? They never learned how to hold, just to fold my feelings into my pocket as I helped others across. These concrete feet haven't learned how to beat their crust off, just to fight off the weight of each year. What do I do when the construction is complete? How do I step on an unfamiliar sidewalk instead of sticking around to sit in my handiwork for a while? To admire the elbow grease I pushed for, to allow myself a release into the life I fought for, how do I walk on? How do I know which road to follow when the map is no longer highlighted in survival? I'm learning. They call this a revival, and it's my turn to create the paths I discover. I'm no longer taking cover or being pulled into the cracks, and I'm learning that the hard hat I crafted from my own back never actually fit me, just enough to look protected. I'm learning to remove it. Let my head breathe sky again. Let my hair feel breeze again. I'm learning to let my feelings unfold, especially the good ones. I'm told their names are relieved, peaceful, good, fulfilled, alive. I'm learning these feelings will live longer outside of my pocket. I'm learning my crosswalk meant I built a curbside safe enough to take my first step as I begin building a sidewalk all my own. One that can hold the weight of the heavy and the hopeful. Thank you.
One more time for Kelsey. All right. So, if you don't know, we are part of Cracked Walnut, which is part of the League of Minnesota Poets. So we are a nonprofit. But we also are accepting members. We would like to get more members, both in the League of Minnesota Poets as well as Cracked Walnut. So, Bill, who's over here, and Micah, these are two people that on the break, if you have questions about Cracked Walnut or the League of Minnesota Poets, there is some materials on the table about it, but they can also help you as well. So please feel free to talk to them about it. That is, of course, after you buy books from the people who brought them. Okay. Our next poet, Aly Kat. Aly is an up-and-coming artist hailing from northern Minnesota, discovered her creative calling while working as a fishmonger during her adolescent years. Between working at the fish market and semesters at NCU, where's NCU? Minneapolis. Oh. NCU, she immersed herself in the world of poetry through books, workshops, and the great outdoors. After college, Aly embarked on a new chapter in life by starting a family. However, her artistic spirit persisted. Transitioning to filmmaking, she quickly became a multi-award-winning filmmaker renowned for captivating cinematic storytelling. Over the last year, she has returned again to writing, drawing inspiration from the many circles in life and the profound experience of motherhood. She is currently in the process of writing her first poetry book with the goal of being self-published by next summer. Balancing raising children and her creative pursuits, she reminds us of the power of following our dreams, no matter the season, and the boundless possibilities of artistic expression. Everybody, please put your hands together for Aly Kat. Keep going.
Hello, good evening. I'm Aly. My last name is Katane, but I thought Aly Kat is way cuter than so we're gonna go with that. So yeah, I haven't written in a really long time. I just started writing again over the last year. So to start, I'm going to read, where did it go? A poem that I wrote 10 years ago. And it was in the last of the pile. Okay, I wrote this poem 10 years ago, and it's for my sister, Catherine. And one thing I've been doing lately is writing responses to my own poetry or other people's poetry. I'm not exactly sure if that is what it's called, but here it is. At 7, she's a child of the woods with matted hair and sun-brushed cheeks, catching crickets and running to me with outstretched arms, flailing about, screeching gladness upon my arrival, reaching for what has felt like years. It has been 6 months and 5 days since I've seen her dimpled smile and blue berry eyes. I wrap her in my arms and we linger. For a little while, she rests her head on my shoulder, listening to my heartbeat, telling me of all the love I've kept for my child of the woods. She embraces my words with each one holding each one with little hands and a little nod, unwilling to let go, nor I, so I carry her for the better half of the day. She tells me of all things new, every once in a while pulling away to watch my face, to see if I was really listening to the stories she told. How could I have stayed away for 6 months and 5 days? So I say, I am here now, to brush your windswept hair and kiss your speckled cheeks, to hold your little hands and the stories you keep, my bright northern star, child of the woods. At 17, she makes her way down the famous Scape in a sea of blue at the crossing, where the wind turns, whipping at her gown, waving to the crowd of eager parents and onlookers. It has been 14 years since I've stood on these grounds, in my own deep sea of blue, sweeping her off the field like a fish returning to water. My arms have never floundered. Together we are home. Her hair is long now, sleek strands falling down her back, black, unlike her eyes, which are the purest blue I've ever seen. Blue as the day she was born when the foxgloves bloom, blue as Round Lake on a clear day in autumn, running and jumping off the dock and into the cool. Blue sparkling as her eyes turn up at the sides towards the sky and caps soar in the breeze. Gravity has always drawn me to the sea, and though we are too old now for hide and seek, I wait until she finds me. I'm the one in red, I write. Blue eyes lock on mine, arms flailing. She sweeps me off my feet. I could almost do the same for the better half of the day. Thank you. Here is a poem I wrote for my grandfather, and I've never read it before, except we'll get to that. Grandfather, I've only shared this poem once with grandmother. She sat with her head down, hands neatly in her lap, but tears were falling where I know you would catch them. Grandfather, tell me, how do you sum up the life of a man who meant so much, which is scarce to come by these days, and how can you translate 56 years of marriage into a single shot fired into the sky, into a folded flag placed into the arms of your beloved? Your life surrounds this place, so how is it that you are no longer? At the church where I once sat on your lap, I now sit beside myself for a loss of words and no place to put my hands. I retreat at the back, avoiding the lobby where we last said hello, reluctant to linger any longer, afraid it was actually goodbye. Driving south, I pass by all the places that gave me meaning. 1,000 lakes to my left, your old print shop to my right. My mind fills with the scent of fresh ink and machines chugging together in perfect harmony as the song plays on. You turn the page and turn to me. My eyes settle on your eager, ready to fish smile. I return today as the light turns green. I pause and turn the car around and leave a little of myself there too. Next poem. This is called Ablation, which is the process of a glacier melting, and it's also the process of a heart restarting. November. It rained again last night, a heavy downpour that lasted well into morning, a similar morning to the one I've been in. I was hoping for the ice to crack before I did. You see, I had a vision last fall, I had a vision that it would be my last time seeing open water. See, here's where I falter, spending my days gathering up sorrow, collecting drops in a bucket makes a full one tomorrow, so I can water my potted plants because they need love too, even if it's a leftover kind, tears falling from an unknown sky. Do you think that they can sense their enclosure? Do you think that these walls make them weep too? April. The ice broke before I did. I watched as the sun melted her edges and ice began to thin out in patches, cracks became crevices, until they broke and her remaining pieces sank. How long do you suppose it might take for them to melt at the bottom of the lake? I ask myself as if I do not already know of the ice in the depths of my own heart. I watched as the clouds went by, made of the same substance but somehow able to fly, and the sun didn't blink or waver or long to say goodbye, but took its time to thaw this body of water, mastering her craft, the truest form of cleansing, a spring to wash over the past. Thank you. Okay, next, this one's really special. This is another response poem. My daughter wrote a poem because I've been writing more and then she decided to write one. So I'm gonna read hers and then my response. This is Dark as Night by Vivi Grace. When the moon is up and the sun is down and I am tired as a snoozy bear, I can't look at the walls with their creepy shadows. I can't look up or down, left, right, or outside. Yes, it feels safe and fine to look at the moon and to say hi to the people I miss the most. But it is the sounds at night that scare me the most. I pray to feel calm and steady. Gordy comes to lay beside me, so now I feel calm and safe. Gorbachev is our cat, but we call him Gorby for short. So this weird name. Here's my response. In light of love. My dearest girl, remember, you were born from love. She is not far nor forlorn to you. Remember, love knows no wrong. Love simply is love. Remember, darkness is everywhere. Light can also be under beds, in closets, in the dark caverns of one's own heart. You will find it, love. Everything that goes comes around. Every circle has an end, only to begin again. Thank you. Tell me how much time I have left.
About 2 minutes.
Okay. This is another one I wrote about my grandfather. I've read it before. I'm going to read it again. Because many of you are new. You've never heard it before. Teach a girl to fish, and she will never forget the night, mid-December, when dusk was falling as fast as snow, making our way across 1,000 lakes. 1,000 different ways this could have panned out. Instead, you pull me along, zipped and buttoned, pole in one hand, yours in the other, steady, the only steady I know. Trotting through the snow, I'm 5 years young and looking to you. Good man and good thing, since looking up is all I can do. Thank you. Okay. We're going to finish with this one. This is a new one I wrote. I wrote this one about some friends of mine who really helped me through motherhood and when I didn't really have a mom around. So this is for them. It's titled Mother. Russian women made me. While I was busy raising children, they raised me into some kind of woman who dressed the part, played nice, and got a head start in life by becoming the young wife, like many before me. Although, I always wanted to be a chef, I chose fishing over chasing boys and cleaning the guts out of the bugs hung in my father's garage Doors are meant to be walked through, whether they are open or shut, so I've walked through every one just to see what I was made of. I unleash my words like a blade, skimming the bones as I fillet the catch of the day, hoping to be heard, poetry flowing from my quill in every corner of this round earth. I've shotgun beers, jumped off cliffs with tears in my eyes. I hide within the depths inside. I've birthed babies from the womb and the heart, for we all know where it starts. We find reason in each other, that's why I look to a higher power and not just my mother. Ruskie Zhinchkini raised me and taught me what it's like to be a woman of dignity. So raise your glasses to the women who brought up thee. If not for them, you be nothing at all. A truth I think makes many men feel quite small, that they would risk it all for this land of the free, home of the brave, unaware of the challenges mothers still face, or the nights we've spent pondering our fate, only to be blindsided by a childbearing life and to realize all choices lead to happiness or strife. So I picked up the knife and I took a slice, became the chef de cuisine of my own life. Yeah, Russian women raised me into the kind of woman I hope to be, but I'm American. Born under freedom bells where eagles soar and liberty rings, where I can be anyone and anything. Thank you very much. That was very fun. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. One more time for Aly. All right, our next poet comes all the way from Arlington, Virginia. I think that's the furthest anybody's come to be on our Wednesday night show. So kudos to us, I guess. Courtney LeBlanc is the author of the full-length collection, Her Whole Bright Life, winner of the Jack McCarthy Book Prize, Bright Bloody 2023, and Exquisite Bloody Beating Heart by Riot in Your Throat Press 2021, and Beautiful and Full of Monsters by Vegetarian Alcoholic Press. I know a few of those. 2020. She is a Virginia Center for Creative Arts Fellow and the founder and editor-in-chief of Riot in Your Throat, an independent poetry press. She loves nail polish, tattoos, and a soy latte each morning. Read her publications on her blog, wordperv.com. That's right, I said it. Follow her on Twitter at wordperv and on Instagram, wordperv79. Everybody, please put your hands together for Courtney LeBlanc.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks, Kelsey and Aly, for reading first. I am from Arlington, Virginia, so for those who are bad at geography, that's Northern Virginia. I'm 5 miles from the White House, which makes it interesting depending on who's in office. But I grew up in North Dakota on a farm, and usually before I read this poem, I have to explain to everyone on the East Coast how fucking terrible a North Dakota winter is. So it's kind of exciting to be here where you all get it, because it's freezing here too. So I don't have to explain that part of it. This poem is titled, You Ain't Shit. You ain't shit, North Dakota. You're all snow and flat and forever horizon. You flyover state. You mega hat Fox News junkie. The year I left, it snowed on June 1st. June 1st, you motherfucker. Can't bury the dead in a North Dakota winter unless you bonfire first. My 18th birthday brought a storm that shut down a state that knows how to deal with snow. North Dakota laughed at chains on tires, laughed at the fools who tried to leave their neighborhoods. My father cleared the driveway with the snowblower, and North Dakota punked him and dropped another 8 inches, as if his work was ever done. And now he's dying. You did this to him, North Dakota. You broke him. His whole life spent nurturing you, feeding the world with the wheat he grew in your rich soil. He never touched the black tar of long-dead dinosaurs that sits beneath you, never mind the millions it could bring. And what do? You give him thunder snow. You withhold the northern lights that have, on a rare occasion, pirouetted across the sky like a bright green ballerina. I saw them once, had to pull over to gape. My father has never seen them, and now his eyesight is failing. His hands shake. He's always cold. His one functioning kidney is stuttering to a stop. It'll drag all the other organs down with it. It won't take long, but his doctor has promised she'll make it painless. If he dies this winter, I'll cut down every tree in every forest across North Dakota. I'll build a fire big enough to see from space. The astronauts think it's the Northern Lights, but everyone thinks the world is ending. Because for me, part of it will. Thank you. Tonight I'm reading from my new book, A Whole Great Life, which has two major themes, my father's death and my disordered eating. So it's very uplifting. You're welcome. Yeah, I got you. This next poem is titled, I Don't Eat After 8 p.m. I once read you shouldn't eat after 8 p.m. if you want to lose weight, and I, a woman who hated her body for a decade, always wanted less to hate. The week my dad died, I ate my mother's pretzel dessert with a spoon, pan held beneath my chin like a trough, the salty-sweet combination filling my belly with calories I couldn't begin to count. I ran 7 miles each morning, the flat stretching before me unbroken. My father lay quiet, first in the hospital, then in the living room, no longer consuming anything, his small frame dark against the pale sheet. When I came inside, sweat slick and panting, I kissed his face, told him about my run, the flowers blooming in the ditch, the blue sheet of sky. That night, after my mother had finally gone to bed, I sat in the chair I pulled to my father's bedside and ate a cloud of carbs, the homemade bread my mother baked and I grew up on. I slathered on a layer of butter, licked the melted gold from my fingertips, told him in between bites that I loved him. My dad died pretty early in the pandemic. It was not pandemic related, that was just the timing. But it was when everyone was still baking bread. And so I went to North Dakota, and my mom's bread is my favorite. And so I said, I would really like the recipe because I'm gonna make this damn bread, and it was my grandmother's recipe. And that's when I learned that my mother's recipe has the secret ingredient, and it's Crisco. Which means I can never eat it again. No wonder it's so melting and delicious in your mouth. It's terrible. When my therapist asks how I'm doing, I talk about the election, my father's death, my friend's brain tumor. I don't tell her about my 2.5-hour workout that morning, how I wouldn't stop until I burned 1,000 calories. I don't tell her of my daily ritual of stripping down, exhaling every ounce of breath before I step onto the scale. How if there's a hair tie around my wrist, it must be removed and the ritual repeated. I don't tell her I know the calories in my morning coffee, 102, or my yogurt and granola, 170, or that I fear going into my mother's body. I spent a decade eating nothing more than an apple and 2 rice cakes between the hours of 8 and 4. When I gave up that slow march toward a hungry death, I thought I'd be normal. But what is normal if not tracking every bite of broccoli? If not knowing the calories in a single baby carrot? I don't tell her because I like when my clavicles arch out from my chest, when my hip bones jut forward like handlebars. I don't tell her because I don't want to talk about what ended 15 years ago, even if its fingerprints remain permanently etched on me. Instead, I talk about the daily hikes with my dogs, my friend's chemo routine, the new meditation app I downloaded. The session ends and I scoop up the rumpled Kleenex and drop them in the garbage. There's a bowl of leftover Halloween candy near the exit. I dig for a Snickers, pop the bite-sized chocolate into my mouth and make it last until I reach my car. This time, I don't record it. This time, I regret not taking 2. I'm going to read a little bit of a lighter poem so I don't drown you in all this trauma. This poem is titled, Would You Ever Get Your Spouse's Name Tattooed? A question posted on Twitter. We'd been separated 6 months, and you'd been dating someone for 2 months when you called to tell me my name now graced your bicep. I looked at the kitchen that was now only mine, the fridge with the broken handle, the stove with only 3 working burners. We're not getting back together, I finally said. It's a testament, you corrected, to the years we spent together. I was wife number 2, and you tell me your first wife's name is inked onto your other bicep. But where will you put your third wife's name, I quipped. I'll never get married again, you insisted. Years later, I will spend hours getting my entire left arm tattooed, a delicate sleeve my second husband does not like. He cannot comprehend how they make me feel beautiful. I waited 7 years to remarry, uncertain I wanted to do it again, uncertain I could. You remarried 7 months after our divorce was finalized. I don't know where her name resides. I just gotta say, who gets someone's name tattooed after your apartment? That's fucking creepy. Teach his own, no judgment. Little judgment, lot of judgment. I just have 2 more poems for you. This poem is, while trying to write a poem, I realize I have nothing to write about, so I contemplate having an affair. Because that would at least give me something to write about. But I think of all the reasons I shouldn't. I'd have to wear something other than yoga pants, have to go somewhere other than the grocery store or the park, because despite romantic comedies, I'm not meeting anyone there. I probably need to not wear a mask, and with this realization, my idea goes right out the window, because no way in hell am I going maskless around someone I don't know. And no, I didn't include because I'm married to the list, because that is a requirement for an affair. But this idea fails, just as this poem is failing, so I saddle up this sad pony and ride it right off the page to the poem graveyard, which is littered with the bones of cliches and repeated words, mouth, hands, touch, taste, the images I can't stop repeating, the discarded bodies of the lovers I've written about endlessly, the ocean in my throat that keeps drowning the words, the death that haunts every line. When I get there, I settle onto the soft earth, dig my fingers into the freshly trimmed soil, and think of my father, how he once saddled a cow and donned a wig and rode it in a parade. How this remains one of my favorite stories about him, how it made the front page of the local paper, how my mom still has a copy. And I think of how, under that hot July sun, I held him in my hand, opened my palm, and the wind tornadoed him back to the land he loved, to the land that grazed cattle and grew crops. And I decided maybe I do have something to write about. Okay, last poem. This is the poem where the collection gets its title. And I was a child of the 80s, but my older sister is 8 years older than I am, which means I was exposed to a lot of movies that were probably inappropriate for like an 8 or 9 year old. But she recorded them off of HBO, and we watched them on VHS. And I'm glad that most of the people in this room know what I'm talking about. But as a result, I have a love of certain movies that just won't die, and this poem is about one of them. It's titled, "The Night My Father Died, We Made My Brother-in-Law Watch Dirty Dancing." Because the whole week was exhausting. None of us slept, our eyes swollen from crying. My throat was so sore, I worried it was strep. When the strep test came back negative, I worried it was COVID. The hospital bed still sat in the corner with medical supplies stacked beside it. The neighbors kept bringing over food, and so we grief beat. That morning, I woke at 3:45 a.m. to give my father his dose of morphine. I found my mom asleep in a recliner, and when I woke her, she said I couldn't hear her breathing from the bedroom. I sent her to bed, tucked the syringe into my dad's cheek, and pushed the plunger slowly, the morphine absorbing because he could no longer swallow. I stayed up till 5 a.m., dozed until 6:30 when my mom woke and took over so I could go for a run, because it's hard to cry while running. And when my dad's brothers and sister arrived, I greeted them in the driveway, the day cruelly bright and beautiful. It took his brothers 3 tries to make it into the house, 3 tries to say goodbye. My aunt called my sister by the wrong name, but none of us corrected her. And when my dad's best friend showed up, it took him 30 minutes and 4 cigarettes to gain the courage to hold his hand. And when my dad took his last breath, we didn't realize for a moment he was gone. But no inhale followed, and I couldn't find the pulse. I kept my fingers on his wrist, hoping to feel the tiny blip, but it didn't come. And so that night, my sister and my mother and I watched a movie we'd seen a dozen times. We sang along to the soundtrack and laughed when Jim didn't know the plot. We needed nostalgia and distraction and a happy ending. We needed Baby up on that stage, her whole bright life ahead of her. Thank you.
Keep it going for Courtney. Okay, so in just a minute here, we're going to take a little break. But first, as I mentioned earlier, we are a nonprofit, so we live off of donations. So there is no requirement to donate. It is a free show. If you don't have anything, don't worry, don't feel bad. But if you do, there's a couple of ways. One, there's the table tents on every table. You can scan the code, you can donate that way. Or if you have some cash, there's going to be a box going around. If you can throw anything in it, that would be great. Money. Take your garbage to the garbage can. And then we'll be back here in like 15 minutes or so. Meanwhile, during the break, please find the artists and buy their books. Or if you have questions about Crack on that, please find Micah or Bill over there. And we'll see you in a bit. Hello. Okay, let's bring it back in. Let's bring it back in. How many people do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Holy cow. We will not get through 13, but we will certainly try. So, very important if you're in the open mic to remember, because we have a lot on the list, 2 minutes or less, 1 poem, please. Okay? And try to keep the intros to a minimum. I did give permission to Bethany, who I'm gonna let start, so that she can talk about her event, because it's a good event. So, Bethany, all the way to the stage.
Well, thank you. I have an event that I throw about once a month, and it's called Breakfast at Bethany's. If you'd like to come, let me know. I'm having one this Sunday. It's from 10 a.m. until about 2-ish. It's in my backyard, so if you want to come, let me know and I'll give you my address. It's an art salon, so it's all sorts of different artists, some musicians, some dancers, some spoken people. I'm also a visual artist, so yeah. And I'm gonna read this poem tonight, and I think a lot of people could probably relate to this. Fuck. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Fuck. Fuck me. Yeah. Let's just fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Fuck yes. Oh, fuck me again. Oh, fuck. Fuck. I think I fucking love you. Don't fuck with me. Fuck you. What the fuck? Why do we fuck each other? Why the fuck can't you fucking leave? Where the fuck am I gonna fucking go? Fuck you. Fuck it all. Oh, let's just fuck it up. Oh, fuck. We fucked. Fuck. How the fuck did this happen? Why the fuck did you do that? Why the fuck did you say those things? Why the fuck can't we just keep fucking? But you fucked me. Fuck. Is this fucking fixable? Why the fuck not? Just come over here and fuck me. Fuck. I fucking love you. Let's fuck. Fuck you. Fuck off. Fuck. Fuck you, motherfucker. It was just a mind fuck.
Now that the children's material is over, Julie, give me a number 2 through 13. 12. It's Wendy. Woo. All the way to the stage.
All right. Ooh, it's so fun to be here. It's been a long time. This is me hitchhiking for a ride home. I live in Columbia Heights. I'm on the bus and I'd like a ride home if anybody would be willing to do that. Something that Kelsey said made me think of this poem, so I pulled it up. Waiting for surgery, 3. She says, blood test is fine, but there's something here on your EKG. I want the other doctor to take a look. We'll give you a call. Waves me out of the room. I didn't even know what an EKG was until today. And now they're telling me my heart is not okay. It is broken. I knew that. and not once. It was chewed on by men who regarded me as a dizzy blonde. It was grated onto someone's slice when he thought I was for the taking. It was trampled on in the Middle East war. It was smashed into pumpkin bits like Halloween gone amok the day my beloved told me he couldn't go on. It was sledgehammered the day my son died, what was left of it, because dumb heart kept growing back. Like another row of teeth on a shark, like another tail on a lizard, like a set of wings on a butterfly who had been pinned to the wall, somehow managed to jump, somehow managed to keep beating. And now they tell me it is irregular, as if I didn't know. It could be an old clock winding down the hour. It might flutter and flame. It might be too many love songs at midnight. My heart is tangled like shadows and lace.
Mom, give me a number between 2 and 13 that's not 12. 8. That's Sonia.
Oh, Jesus.
The first one's a doozy.
I like to do pratfalls when it's time to read a poem. I was gonna read one of my own poems, but this is for you, Tony. Why I Am Not a Painter by Frank O'Hara.
There it is. I knew it was an ode, I just didn't remember what it was.
I am not a painter, I am a poet. Why? I think I would rather be a painter, but I am not. Well, for instance, Mike Goldberg is starting a painting. I drop in, sit down and have a drink. He says, I drink, we drink. I look up, you have sardines in it. Yes, it needed something there. Oh, I go and the days go by and I drop in again. The painting is going on and I go and the days go by. I drop in. The painting is finished. Where's sardines? All that's left is just letters. It was too much, Mike says. But me, one day I am thinking of a color, orange. I write a line about orange. Pretty soon it is a whole page of words, not lines, then another page. There should be so much more, not of orange, of words, of how terrible orange is, and life. Days go by, it is even in prose. I am a real poet. My poem is finished, and I haven't mentioned orange yet. It's 12 poems. I call it Oranges. And one day in a gallery, I see Mike's painting called Sardines.
Wendy, give me a number between 2 and 13, that's not 8 or 12.
6.
6. That is Laura here, this one.
Hi, I'm Laura Rockhold. I'm a poet and visual artist, and I am going to read you a soliloquy that takes place at urgent care. Novocaine can't stop my pain. Oh my God, my thumb's got a heartbeat. Look how big it is. Definitely a ½ inch. Fuck, it's deep. Under the nail, don't throw up. It's only a splinter. Get out, get out, get out. Come on, kick in. 2 shots should work. I knew it wouldn't work. I told her the numbing never lasts. The pain always comes back. I told her an epidural didn't even stick. Shit. She said 50 Vicodin post-op. 50's like a lot, like Dr. Nick a lot. Maybe she thinks I'm extra sensitive to pain. Oh, please no. Stop being extra. Stop feeling. Felt kind of nice, her hand on my shoulder. Never had a doctor do that before. Or call me honey. Or look at me like that. Maybe she wants to make out with me. Right here, on this exam table. Do I want to make out with her? The pain's making me sweat. Maybe she likes sweat. Maybe she likes pain. But she can't wait to scissor through my nail. What if she's high? High with scissors. Novocaine's still not working. I hope she calls me honey again.
Christine, give me a number 2 through
7.
7. That is Joey.
Hi, I'm Joey. This is the first thing that I wrote after my mom died. I close my eyes until I'm faceless. Then I walk around the house on my toes till I feel weightless. I hate it when my phone vibrates. I want to break it. I want to be alone inside myself, impose stasis and embrace it as my own creation with no complacence. I'm not a poet. I'm a stupid stoned adjacent, just musing over music, hoping you should want to play it, thinking maybe I should make some moves and do this for the payment. My mood is in the basement, ego pounding on the attic door, disembodied spirits in the kitchen eating apple cores, body sinking under the ocean down to that land from floor, floating back to the surface with that half-powered master sword. Searching for what I had before, bursting into the scenes trying to figure out what I'm rapping for. Do the dirt in my own dealings. Is the verse even worth it if I don't hurt my own feelings? Deep breaths, de-stress. Where the fuck are my regrets? I've been frozen in a moment trying to take the right steps. Deep breaths. I'ma ride it till the day I meet death. Funeral pyre in the head. Black holes in the eyes. Blood dripping from the nose above the mouth full of lies. Fucking bones in a pile. I've had my share of moments with denial. When death came knocking, shit was final. Kind of weird how when people die, we lose our will for living. How the fuck can I say I want to die when my mama did it? I take for granted what I'm given. I take a deep breath and feeling different.
All right. Laura, you can call the next one. 2 through 13. So pick a number. Pick another number. No, wait. 11's on here. Never mind. Tom.
Hi. Mr. Lyons. I had a dream. I woke up smiling. You were in it. I want to take this pencil and this notebook. I want to build you a home that's as black and as white as ashes in the sky as cartoons. I want to write in pencil, so when I don't want you to feel the gray, I can erase my name. I want to write on paper, so when you're cold, you can burn it. Just remember they are embers, not a furnace. You are perfect if this world is just black and white. Do not turn it red, just to see the colors, just to see the ashes in the sky. Do not make me wonder when to ask to say goodbye. I want to build your home. You do not know how much you'll miss it. I want that to be your miracle.
Kelsey, 2 through 13. 5 is Dawn. Keep clapping all the way to the stage. All the way to the stage, and she's sitting in the back.
This one is called Grief for the Living. God had blessed us. We were the anointed, the ordained, the chosen, in the bedroom, on the couch, the floor of every room, the shower, the tub, the lake, the woods, the yard, the car, horizontal, vertical, perpendicular, every line combination, straight or curved, to the thrumming of the grouse, to the rhythm of the rain, as loud as porn against a motel headboard, as soft as a whisper while the children slept. Even so angry we couldn't see, we loved through it all. But tonight, there's a familiar clenching of muscle spasms as I come into the vast, scentless, silent, cold darkness. Sobs immediately escape. I have awoken. My eyes leak into the pillow. I bend to a fetal position. No spoon to shield my back. Nothing to lean into. And I wait for sleep is the only way to feel you again.
All right, Courtney, give me a number 2 through 13.
8.
Give me another number.
4.
4 is on here, that's Laura.
Thanks for picking me, Courtney.
I got you.
We're both from the East Coast. We actually kind of knew each other before this.
Show off.
I'm not from here, okay? This poem I wrote during my first artist residency, and I actually debuted it at Breakfast at Bethany's. So, yeah. It's called Last Flight Out of Omaha. Build me a fire across a room or between my collarbones, the young glue of your tectonic joints holding high architecture. Tell me you love me, even in approximations, how closely I brim with the lips you touch bare-skinned, rolling in grasses. Turn me over, a haunting equation. Solve my humming, the burning brush that blows through so much chaos and order in the golden angles, in the sacred geometry of our mouths. Please, architect of fire, ask me to stay. Show me the familiar spaces and your light in between. It found me again. Love was a smoke trap I did not imagine, but then how could I imagine you? All instinct and human, and sketching circles around this moonless night. I am charcoal tipped, drawn, and spiraling, so lost and still just as human. Please, architect of my fires, ask me to stay. Let our soft magnet bodies flux with the current of our hands. Flint fingers igniting what is left of the secrets that hold us separate and searing. A confluence of bodies cresting their histories to the surface. Granular palimpsests in the rutted riverbed you trudge barefoot under the hunter's moon with me in tow. Doe-eyed and unraveling in your opaque surround. Lucid dreaming that I could be less liminal and conflicted and all at once. My architect, my fire, what is left holds us. Silhouettes of milkweed and night heron, flakes of ash we scrape from our teeth, the rolling river tugging its covers back over frosting shoulders, me on the last flight out of Omaha, a parallax vapor trail, every door swinging endlessly, banging against the nocturnal enfilade of the nights the fire built and broke us.
Deb, give me a number 2 through 13.
13.
Victoria!
turned 50 and my eyesight went, it's gone. Okay, sorry. All right. This is called 7 Mirrors. There I go, thinking this was all about my father. 7 mirrors, 49 years. No reflection at all. Did I even look at them through the lens of another? A young man in the mess hall of a ship, Boys Town, the baby blue hull of a floorboard, the harmony a placenta makes, while screaming from the stomach of years before the sky began combing itself with satellites in the name of connection. There are moments you still belong to me. Every shape a daughter takes the still life of a letter, 4 years, 11 months, 0 days, no sighting of you. Absence is not closure, but a saphenous vein, the longest return. I do the math to the decimal. Point is, we look better in the photographs. Rebirthing stories between my brother and me like a trust fall. We work the forgotten bones. 53 years, 7 months, 3 weeks and 2 days, my mother still waiting at the window for her dead parents to arrive from the scene of a crash that took its only survivors too. How the breaking doesn't make a sound anymore. How the boom can spit a man away and a child closer like a rag doll left hugging the side of a road just beyond a truck stop. Somewhere in Nebraska, the sound a storm drain makes while drowning the deepest thing it's meant to hold again and again. I once asked my mother to trim my nails the way she left the edges, sparing the flesh. Thank you. That was blinding. It's the second time I've ever read public.
I don't know, it gives me energy. So, Victoria, 9, 2, 3, or 10?
9.
9 is Brittany.
All right. This one is called TFMR Fairy Tale. If you don't know what TFMR stands for, it means termination or abortion for medical reasons, often of a wanted baby. I think in this one, I am both the mother and the witch. I'm sure the witch ran her fingers through that silk cool white shimmer hair and thought, nope, I shall never break this bond between us, this rope that guides us, this leash love. And I'm sure the mother ran her hands over the onion's green stalks and the spinach's blonde crown and thought, nope, I shall never go hungry. I shall never suffer. I shall dwell in this garden the rest of my days. Until never came. The root ball in her belly bound the mother to the earth. She moaned and wasted and wilted and starved, while the scissors flashed in the witch's hand, leaping from the soft cloth of an unmade dress to bite at the little girl's braid. No time to change the story. The masks are in place. I look out through mother's eyes. I speak with the witch's mouth. I wear two faces, the ending's always the same.
All right, I'll go back to Julie. 2, 10, or 3?
10.
10 is Charlie.
I have to be careful. It's been a really good night. This is part of a larger poem. This is sort of a rant. A friend of mine was always talking, and you maybe heard this stuff about balance. You know, like we have to have a balanced life. And as far as I'm concerned, that's nonsense. All right. So this is about balance. This is part of a larger piece called About Balance. What stories do you choose to tell children circled at your feet, tracing design in the dust? An old one, perhaps, how the world began from space between water and water, or was brought on the back of a turtle, how crow brought fire, or coyote, or Prometheus. What stories do the children ask you to tell? Their fingers scooping dirt, their eyes fixed on your face. Perhaps a fairy tale about the girl who loved the bear that lived east of the sun and west of the moon. Or maybe the story of how you fell in love. When in these stories does the creation beget a calendar? The fire bringers delay because they feel stressed. The girl to check that she's reserved time for personal reflection. When did you ever look at your watch when you were intoxicated with the scent of your lover's hair, her sweet breath as you kissed her for the first time? Where is a balanced life ever in stories told to children circled at your feet, even as they pile dirt up, even as they brush it down?
Of course, Charlie's brown nosing with the Poets and Pints shirt on. Love it. Love it. I used to have one and then I spilled lube on it and ruined it. True story. So, Bethany, 2 or 3?
2.
2 is Mary.
I'm Mary, and I've never read a poem for anybody before. Thanks. Far enough, we've come far enough. You say you want to know me more, but darling, that's what hands are for. Far enough, we've come far enough. One day you will plant a seed, and it will be consumed with greed. The trees are greater than we know, and still they grow, and they'll survive the winter snow. But you don't know them to be trees, for they've no leaves, and they're so tall. And in the forest you stand small. So if I grieve, please do not leave, or let it feed into your insecurities. You say you want to know me more, as sun climbs higher than before. Summer flushes you with fits, summer drips. Breath stands hotly at the lips. Blood fills faces till they rip. Far enough, we've come far enough. And some days, in a haze, you might succumb to summer's blaze and gaze into some keener eyes, seeking cooler, clearer skies. And this demise is adequate. It will be quick, and promptly you will cancel it. For in the autumn you'll be frail, your body pale, and you will fail. Among the flashy gowns of fall, you're still small, and fiercely colored leaves will fall. The cold will bite, and winter night will starve you of your wherewithal. Far enough, listen far enough. Listen for the song of June, the slow and undulating tune, and for the moon whose body floats, waning wispy like a ghost, that she may remedy the core that glimmers dimmer than before. That oldness robes you gracefully, that boldness clothes you tastefully. Far enough, we've come far enough. That winter will not take me, that harshness shall not shake me.
And the last one on the list, Bill, come on up.
everybody. Another great night of poetry. We're going to end it with a ghost story.
Bring my gun.
Even after they're gone. I worked with a woman who told me her dead husband had saved her life. He had ripped the steering wheel from her grasp, maneuvered the car out of a spin that would have ended as a fatal crash. She never said if he had been a good husband, but he was still working on it, still caring for her as best he could. Thank you.
And I'll close out the show with one of mine from my last book. It's called Regret. I wandered low. To the bottom of the last thing I recognized, what I saw was the lack of anything to see. There's never been less. This must be what the last moments will feel like, in that moment when you can no longer hear, but your mind hasn't quite sauntered away. It must sound like the ocean. There must be waves of regret. Humans are so prone to regret. We use it as a cane to keep us on our feet. I have had a lot of spare time in my busy schedule to study these molecules of misused moments, these semblances of turning left when I should have stayed right. I've learned that there wasn't a right to turn. This is not to say that there is destiny. Just what you did is done. Undone is unobtainable. So the next time you sleep, maybe she's there, maybe you're alone, pick a direction that isn't backwards, for forward is the only option left to those who don't want to sit in this empty room, the one with the ocean. Thank you, everybody. Please put your hands together, first for Kelsey Bigelow. From Des Moines, Iowa. For Aly Kat. For Courtney LeBlanc. For all of the open micers who have come here tonight. For you, this wonderful crowd, thank you so much for coming. Fun fact, there's 2 people from my office here tonight. Just a fun fact, as well as my mom. So this has been Poets and Pints number 98. I thank you so much for coming. We will be here next month. I believe it's August 17th. It's always the 3rd Wednesday of the month. Again, Basso Poetry is doing that one. But then circle your calendars for September 20th, 2023. That's the year. Yeah. Right here. We're going 3 hours, 7 to 10. We're going to have a beer named after us. We're going to have Shane Holly, Kari Jackson, Phaedra Sheridan, Sean Pavey from Kansas City, and also Joe Davis. So it's going to be just an amazing show. If you don't know any of those poets, holy crap, you really have to be here. But anyway, thank you so much for being part of the crowd tonight. If you want to watch the show again, it will be on our Poets and Pints YouTube channel. Just add Poets and Pints, simple, easy to find. Please come back. Thank you so much. Please put all your dishes into the tubs and have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. You can quick buy stuff, by the way, but we do have to try to be out of here as close to 9 as possible. Okay, have a wonderful night. Thanks.